I feel in the next 10 years where we're not talking about virtual reality again. So it's cool to be back and talking about this in this moment, in this very pivotal moment for hardware and for training. So let's start. What we're going to do with this session is I'm going to talk about 30 minutes about everything that virtual worlds allow you to do, virtual reality and augmented reality, and why that's important. I'm going to lay out a practical guide for you guys. How do you implement it today in your organization at a price point that works? What kind of technologies can you expect? You'll be hearing a lot about virtual reality and augmented reality in general. And I think what it's going to do is going to give you a good practical guide and a good price point of how to implement this within your organizations today and not anytime tomorrow. So let's start by understanding a little bit about why. So why do you need virtual reality? Why gamify at all? Why do we need gamification? We're perfectly fine creating the kind of training that we use today. Well, this is why. The millennials are here. That's what I call them, the millennial hordes. And 1/3 of the US workforce, well, about 40% of the US workforce at this point is millennials. And then you still have the Gen Zs lining up right behind them. And the millennials use 3 screens, but the Gen Zs use 5 screens. And we're still stuck on flash animation for graphics, right? So that's just not going to work. And by 2025, they're going to be, 75%, 3/4, 3 in 4 people in the global workforce are going to be digital natives. So it's really imperative. This is why we need to start changing our training. So what's happening? You're seeing 3 different things going on here. I talk about this a lot. You have a disruption in demographics. So you've got these millennials, these Gen Zers, as we call them, coming up. There's a disruption in the demographics. There's a disruption in hardware. You've got these really cool VR and AR headsets and mobile-enabled devices that are available at price points that are affordable today. And you've got a disruption in media habits. And anyone who's sitting right now looking at their phones knows what I'm talking about. There is a disruption in media habits. You're used to looking at your phones the whole time. You're tweeting or Instagram, or you know who you are. So, and then we have all of this coming together to create a disruption within the training industry. And if it's not being disrupted, we need to disrupt it today and right now. So what are we going to do? We're going to deconstruct some of the myths around virtual reality. That's what I'm hoping to do today in this talk. And we'll go by, one by one and talk about the most common myths. Virtual reality is just another fad. I hear about it all the time. I hear about it in the news. Hey, even Silicon Valley has, and if anyone watches that TV show, they're lampooning virtual reality right now because it's so in, because they do that. VR, isn't that just for gamers? Like, I love VR, I've heard about it, but it seems like it's just for gamers. What do we in the training industry have to do with VR? Or, I've never worn a VR headset before, it looks too complicated. How do I create training for this? Like, I don't know anything about this, it's exciting, but I want to do something about it. And virtual reality is the latest technology. It must be really expensive. So how do I use it within my budget, right? And finally, well, even if I got through all of that, is there enough data out there? Is VR and AR, are they good training methods? Is it effective? Does it work as a training methodology? So we're going to take you today through each one of these myths and talk a little bit about each one of them and tell you what you could do to bust them within your organizations. So firstly, the big one, isn't VR a fad? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's say we are sold, we want to create some training. How do we know it's not going away tomorrow? We sink in so many dollars and then it's gone. Because remember Second Life, a lot of people do, right? Well, this is proof. It's not one company. Unlike Second Life, it's not just one company that's actually selling VR today. You've got every major tech company investing in either VR or augmented reality. So you've got Sony with the PlayStation VR, you've got HTC with Vive, you've got Samsung Gear VR, you've got Oculus with Facebook, Daydream with Google, Google Cardboard, Meta, I can keep going on and on, Microsoft with HoloLens, you know, every major tech company is investing billions of dollars in VR, AR, and mixed reality. It's not going anywhere. And if that doesn't convince you, on the demand side, you have 28 million people paying for VR hardware and content. You have a 400% increase in active users year on year by 2018, and you'll have 37 million installed VR headsets, and that's today, at today's prices. The prices are just going to come down. It's going to become more accessible, like your cell phones. So, you know, again, all the data points to this being here to stay, and then always follow the dollars, right? You've got the revenue that people like my company hope to earn from these markets to be in the billions of dollars. And these are not our numbers, these are projections by Statistica. $16.1 billion in enterprise, $6 odd billion in healthcare, and even in education, you've got $1 billion odd that's going to be invested in just VR content and software by 2025. So all of this data is kind of going towards proving that VR is far, far from being a fad. It's a big trend that's here to stay, which is why you need to invest in this and convince your organizations to start investing in this technology today. Now, let's go to the second bit. Okay, cool. But isn't VR just for gamers? Like, I spoke to my manager about this, or I spoke to my boss about this. He's like, yeah, it's cool, but my kids play on it. You know, what do we do with this for training? How is this relevant to us? And this is what you tell her or him. You know, your kids are going to be tomorrow's workforce. They're not going anywhere, right? So they're the digital natives, and they consume media like this on 5 different screens. And when they consume media, they're not gamers, they're not gaming, they're just consuming media. Against that, this is what happens to their brains. Every single time you get a tweet, a Snapchat, a Facebook Live, immediately there's a dopamine hit. These digital natives only operate when they get this hit. That's the nerve center that lights up within their brain. And it's impossible to resist it. That's a little bit of Gilbert here telling you why it's so difficult. You're going up against this as trainers, and you're going up against this with your manuals, you're going against this with your really pretty, not great flash animations, and you're going up against this with last decade's training content and methodology. You're not going to be able to keep their interest. Your training is not going to be effective. No wonder they don't listen to it, and no wonder your organization is losing money and falling behind because your workforce doesn't care about your training. So how do you make them care about it? This is a common complaint. Well, I'm kind of sold. I want to do something, but it's too complicated. I've never used this before. How do I even go about creating training as an instructional designer, as a trainer, whoever you are here. So let me take you back to when you started. Like when every new instructional designer, when they come into the market, when you're a trainer, you want to join the industry, the first thing you want to do is create disruption, is create the kind of training that people will want to come back to. No one joins to create boring training. No one joins to do compliance. No one just wants to churn out another course. You want to be a storyteller. You want to engage people in your stories, right? So when you've got Game of Thrones coming out next week, why will your millennial audience listen to your training or hear or watch it or even play with it when it's kind of shitty? Honestly, I'm sorry, but it's true. You gotta admit it. And it's not your fault. You want to do something about it, the tools are not available, or the organization is not willing. So let's go back to our roots. Let's go back to being storytellers. That's what we wanted to do. People learn better. You all know that. Then we tell them stories. But what VR allows you to do is to take it one step further, is to be a world builder. What if you could create your own training world, where your trainees are playing in a world that you've designed for them, where they're not only being a part of your story, they're living it, they're interacting with it. You can have them react in ways that you want them to react. Imagine the power of that change. This is actually a screenshot from a game that my company, Indusgeeks, is building for conflict resolution. It's set in the future, and you are an alien called V, who's actually, we find out, a human as the big reveal, but it's in the future. And you get stuck in an alien world, and you have to make first contact back with humanity, and let humanity know that, hey, we found them. But you got to negotiate with the aliens first to let you do that in a peaceful way. So this is, it's fully immersive VR, storytelling, but also world building. What I'm going to do is show you a live example of something that is available at our booth right now to showcase. This is a VR training program that we've been creating for FEMA for first responder training in a disaster scenario. I'm going to play the video for you guys for a bit. Wake up in this world where there's been a big earthquake, and this is what you see around you. Oh, there you are.
Hey there, I'm glad you made it okay. The earthquake has hit the city hard, and we need all the help we can get. Be careful of falling debris from these buildings, though. Some of them look pretty unstable. Okay, let's get going. Dispatch says that our eye in the sky spotted potential survivors in the area, and it's our job to make sure they're okay. Grab the medical bag near your feet, and let's head out.
This is completely...
Keep your eyes peeled for any survivors.
Nurse Jane's going to talk you through the whole thing. She's an AI-enabled mentor and your instructor within the world.
Hey, over here.
And she doesn't, she's pretty strict about it. She's like, come on, hurry up. So, what you're seeing is a good example of presence in VR, combined with flow, combined with a virtual instructor who's going to walk you through, and this is the future of things.
We need to act quickly to save as many lives as possible. Looks like we found a survivor. Okay, he looks like he's in pretty bad shape. Why don't we set down the medical bag over there? Let's do a physical assessment.
And you're doing this, by the way. You are controlling the whole...
The patient looks unresponsive. Let's start by clearing the airway. Tilt his head back and lift the chin. Good work. Clearing the airway is a crucial step. Let's take off his shirt to perform CPR. We may need to use the AED kit in your bag, too. Let's check his pulse. Why don't you check the pulse?
While she walks you through this, I'll let it run. I'll talk a little bit about how we created this and what we learned, right? The first time we created this experience in VR, the presence aspect of the nurse was so powerful that people initially were not paying enough attention to what she was saying. They were so astonished that she was there and speaking, they thought she was real. Like, it literally scared people. And you're just watching a video of it. When you put the headset on and you actually experience it, it really startles people the first time they do it because it feels so real. And so every time they take those goggles off, they're like, oh my God, that felt so real. Now that's the experience, that's the kind of rapture and flow in training that is almost impossible to get in any other medium. Like, you as a trainer create something like this that people don't want, or people are so surprised and happy about and want to visit again and really don't want to stop. Like, that's unheard of in training, as opposed to sort of, pushing it down their throats. So that's what we found with this. And then ultimately sort of this ends up with you, helping save the patient. And there's going to be a chopper that comes in, and you hear the chopper going.
So it looks like a shock is required. Press the button on the AED device to administer the shock. Stand clear and do not touch the patient.
Everyone clear. Do not touch patient. Delivering shock. Shock delivered.
Okay, the shock has been administered. Keep the electro...
So, I'm going to pause this and move ahead, but I just wanted to give you guys a sense of what's possible and not just talk about it. This kind of training is possible, it's being used, it's effective, people love it, to the extent that they want to keep going back and doing it again and again. And FEMA is looking at using this as a training module. So now, let's talk a little bit about the process flow, right? How does it work? It's pretty much what you do today. You're an instructional designer, you create a course, you set your learning objectives, well, you decide what learning objectives are, then you create a course. And then you have a storyboard, and that storyboard either goes out to an external vendor like us or an internal team that's working on VR. And in time, and that's not too far, I think, we already had Articulate here talking about 360 video and 360 animation. I believe in the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to have tool sets coming from companies like ours that will enable you to develop these courses as kind of drag and drop courses, like you have with a lot of these rapid development courses today. So this is the process flow. It's not complicated as what you do today. So let's talk about the money. And well, right now it's a little more about, sure, so let's say we're convinced. How do we convince the organization that this is actually going to save us money? Let's look at this. This is really interesting. This was a training program not created by my company but by another company, which saved costs over 24 months. This was created for the oil and gas industry, and this is for the operators of high-end, pretty high-risk equipment. And what they noticed was that, as you can look at the graph, this is very, very interesting. I'm going to point to this. Initially, the orange is the VR training costs. The initial training costs for VR training are indeed higher than if you were to do the training in a traditional method, in a classroom-based method. But as you move to month 15 and 16, this is where the real magic happens. Not only does the training finish faster, in that your trainee is ready for their job much before they would be in a traditional method. So 8 months of saving. And then when you add up the blue bars that continue for 8 months more, you will see that the total cost is actually 33% lower than traditional training. So VR training has a higher upfront cost, but over a period of time, it actually ends up saving you money even when compared to traditional in-classroom or physical training methods. And this is data that illustrates that in terms of cost benefit, which is, what do you get asked by your boss all the time? Let's talk a little bit about this. This is actual data from the field. These are the costs of development for VR content worldwide. You have prices ranging from $25 per hour for development to $15 per hour in Asia. It's not super expensive. This is the worldwide chart for VR development costs, and it's available here. So again, it's not the kind of thing that's unreachable. It's not something that is tomorrow. It's something you can do today. And the big thing. Okay, cool. I like the graph, cost benefit. How do we know this actually works? This looks cool. It should work, but does it actually work? Now let's look at the data. This is really interesting. There's a company called Pixai, which created a virtual reality simulator back in 2005, when we didn't have the graphics, the headsets, none of this. But they created a VR simulator which was specialized in 2005 for an eye procedure called trabeculoplasty. I always get this wrong, but that's what it is. And it's for treatment of glaucoma using argon laser. Right? So you literally, as a doctor, as an eye doctor, have to shoot laser into the eyes of the patient to treat this. This sounds scary, but what's scary is there was a lot of mistakes, a lot of over-treatment, and these are the results. This is what happened. When the control group was used and the VR trained group was checked, they only missed their target 8% of the time. as opposed to the 55% missed by traditional training methods. The overtreatment was reduced from 46% to 7%. And the inadvertent laser, which is sort of code for saying, oops, I shot a laser into your eyes, I'm sorry. Right, that was at 34%. And the training using VR brought that down to 4.5%. This is actually saving lives. This is real data. And this is helping patients recover using the ISIM. Let's talk a little bit about augmented. We've been talking about VR for a bit. The Boston Research Group came up with this. This is for assembly line errors. Assembly line workers using AR technology to train found this. A 90% drop in errors. 90% as against traditional methods. And 35% less time. I keep emphasizing this. It's not just that you're saving cost. It's not just that you're reducing error. It's also that your trainees are getting trained faster because they're engaged and they're immersed and all their senses are aligned. They're not checking their phones. They're not distracted. They're not just here because they have to pass a course. They're here because they want to be here. They love your content. And that's exactly what we want to be. This is my favorite. This is healthcare, Children's Hospital in Miami. And they were training their clinicians to use CPR and doing basic, starting an IV, wound care, using VR. And this is what the results look like. This is astonishing, right? 1 year after training finishes, the retention rate is still 80%. Whereas if you use just books, within 1 week, it falls to 20%. These are not even comparable numbers. It's that effective. I mean, this just, VR just blows the competition out of the water. It's just, it's not, so it's retention, it's cost, it's time savings for the trainee, it's more effective, it's more engaging. I mean, really, there's no reason to not do it, pretty much at this point. So, the final section, right? The big reveal. Let's say Sid, we're sold. How much does this really cost? Let's talk numbers. So I decided, I usually don't do this, but I decided for this talk, I was going to talk numbers because I wanted to put a figure in your head. I wanted to say, hey, this is what you walk away with. So at least you have a line in the sand, you can say, we can do it or not, right? In a sense. So, well, a little more patience. I did say a practical guide, right? How do you start? You don't have to start with VR. You start by creating VR portable content. You start by creating 3D games for computers that your organization can use today, or simulations for computers that run off of your LMS today, that work on desktops, that work moving on to mobile devices. And then think about it, that same mobile device, you just insert it in a VR mobile headset and your content can port and become VR content on mobile. If you follow the trajectory from the PC, what you created with the 3D game on the PC gets converted into PC VR. Stuff that runs, VR that runs off PCs. And in the future, we feel all of them are going to converge into what we hope is going to be a retinal implant. We're already seeing that happen, right? So both these will converge. You will not have the mobile phone, you will not have the PC, they will all just converge in your eyes. But your content that you created today will port all the way there. And these tools, Unity, Eclipse, Reshaper, even Articulate, are tools that are helping us move our content from one of these sort of devices to the other, and we'll keep doing it. So when you invest in content today, you start with 3D games if your organization is not ready for VR. But the content needs to be portable. Work with a vendor, work with a content tool set that allows you to keep porting that content and you will not lose money. Your content is future-proof. So I'm going to go through this real quick. Mobile VR versus PC VR. The pros are it's really cheap. Those of you who were at the top before, I think they got one of these headsets. They're $8 to $5. They're highly portable. The problem is, they're not Going to the cost, they'll give you 70% of the ways there, but not 100%. So an $8 experience is almost a 70 to 60% of a $1,500 experience. So mobile VR is easy, it's accessible, it's cheap. PC VR is more expensive, no doubt. A whole rig with the headset today is going to be about $2,000, but it's higher fidelity, more interactivity. It's not as portable, but it's definitely the most rich experience that you can get in VR today. But the good news is what I was showing you earlier. Both of these are converging. The price is falling, so you will be able to use this. Okay, I did say I was going to talk about money. A quick disclaimer. When you create interactive content, it's not the same as creating linear e-learning content. This is what happens. 2 hours of video-based content approximately will get compressed to 1 hour of interactive. So it's a 50% reduction even in training sitting time because it's non-linear. And it almost compresses by a factor of 4 the learning for instructor-led classroom-led training. So 4 hours of classroom-led instructor-led training will get compressed to 1 hour of interactive. Now, based on this interactive time is how you price VR. These are the numbers. This is what we can offer you even today. $1,500 per interactive minute. Not e-learning minute, interactive minute, which has compressed your e-learning by 50%, just to be clear. But let's look at the example. What happens? I create 60 minutes of interactive, which is almost 2 hours of e-learning as capstone. And at $1,500, it cost me $90,000 when I created it the first time. But when I start using it with 2,000 people, it falls to $45 per person. And this is just the first year. The second year, you're not creating content again. You're only paying the maintenance, which brings this down to about $5 to $6. That's it, per person. The porting cost to VR, remember you started with the game base and then you're moving into VR. It's just 50% of the game base. So you went from $45 to $67.5, still not anything that's going to break the bank for user. And again, this is the first year cost. This is the first time investment in the content. It will keep falling as you keep using it more and as you only pay for maintenance. And that's the big number. A final recap on what we just spoke about. Future-proof your content today. Start with accessible screen-based training with the porting option to VR. Port to VR whenever you're ready and your department is ready and your organization is ready. And then you know that the future is now. It's not tomorrow, it's today. You already have this happening. You can see how, really enraptured this person is and engaged. This is what we want. And finally, go over to booth 310. We have the training running right now. Experience it. Don't just listen to me. Come by and we're happy to talk to you. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a great audience. We'll take questions.
How long is a typical VR course?
Well, that's a good question. We like to keep to micro-learning principles. So each course each micro-learning vignette should be not more than 10 minutes. However, you can stitch them together to create a longer course.
So a learner would experience 10 minutes at one time?
Yes, that's recommended. You could do more, but recommended is between 10 to 12 minutes.
Those startup costs include hardware?
No, they do not. That was cost for content creation. Typical hardware is about $1,500 to $2,000 for a PC rig, but then the mobile rigs, they're just about $200, even the good ones.
So content would be like $45 per person plus $2,000 if you needed hardware.
Well, that's the good one. So start with just game-based. You don't need the hardware. Everyone has a PC or a mobile phone. So you start with the basic 3D game-based, and then when people start having more VR equipment, ports to VR. So start with basic 3D game with the option of porting if you want it in the future. But then you don't have any hardware costs. It's just $45 per person when you start. Right? And then the incremental cost when you get the VR.
Yeah, that's assuming that someone else is going to pay for the hardware instead of your organization.
No, I think your organization will pay for it. Like when computers came out the first time, they're going to set up a VR lab, and you're going to have people come in and experience it. But the neat thing is with mobile VR, people have VR-enabled devices in their pockets. So mobile phones are getting more powerful. Mobile VR is $5. Any organization can afford that. Give out those mobile VR headsets, right? And then the cost is going to be like $5, and people can use their own phones. So that's kind of where we see it going.
Yes, right now I'm thinking of the situation where, like, if you had the opportunity to train something for FEMA, they may ask you to come up, like, they may not have hardware either.
Oh yeah, no, so that's a great point. We sell it together with the hardware for people who want it. We'll set up these VR experience centers for people who need it. So right now there is the hardware cost to take into account, but like I said, in time, the mobile devices are going to become powerful enough that you can just put your mobile device in and get ready to go.
Yeah.
Questions? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. You're a great audience. Look forward to booth 3 again. See you guys there. Thanks.